had been arrested and charged with conspiring to commit subversion in 2021 for their part played in an unofficial primary election. This came after Beijing imposed a sweeping national security law on the city. In total, 45 opposition figures were found guilty of subversion. 2 were acquitted. Only 12 of them had appealed. This case is being seen as one of the most high-profile trials in Hong Kong under the national security law, which critics say is being used to silence dissent.
For any news stories you would like to share with us, please send us an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us on +27 11 714 4459. For Channel Africa News in Johannesburg, I'm Tabisolo Hogu.
SABC News. The African Perspective.
In our sports headline, SAFA is stepping up plans to improve the preparations ahead of the national team's tournaments. And Rory McIlroy failed to win the Genesis Invitational in Los Angeles. I'll be back with these and other stories at the bottom of the hour.
This is Africa Update, your pulse to the continent. Stories shaping nations and voices driving change. Stay informed, stay connected, right here on Channel Africa, the African Perspective.
It is 12:05 Central African time, and we're coming to you live from Johannesburg in South Africa on Channel Africa from an African perspective. We are on DSTV's audio bouquet channel 802, OpenView channel 628, and on www.channelafrica.co.za, as well as on the Channel Africa app and SABC Plus app, available on the Apple and Google Play stores. Join us in conversation on our social media platforms. That's on X, Instagram, and subscribe on YouTube at Channel Africa 1, on Facebook at Channel Africa. You can also send us your comments and voice notes on +267 83 288 6684 #Africa Update. Today on #Africa Update, ask Balamine Katunga Mugabe, the son of former Zimbabwe's President Robert Mugabe, and a co-accused have appeared in court in a South African court after their arrest last week. We want to know, what do you make of the charges against the two? I'll share your thoughts and your views on all our social media platforms. That's on X, Instagram at Channel Africa 1, on Facebook at Channel Africa. You can also send us your comments and voice notes on +267 83 288 6684 #Africa Update Us.
Ahoy, matey!
Captain here to help, right, boys?
Set sail with us on a digital voyage like no other. Channel Africa has a treasure trove of awesomeness. That is our website and social media pages.
Tell me, why are you here?
We want you to be part of our adventure.
The winds are changing, Captain. And this time...
Imagine a world where curiosity knows no bounds, where entertainment meets enlightenment, and where every click leads to the African perspective. Visit us on our website, www.channelafrica.co.za, or follow us on Instagram or on X at Channel Africa 1. Go on, like us on Facebook at Channel Africa 1. So, spread the word. Tell a friend that Channel Africa's online variety is what they need on the web. Channel Africa, the African perspective. Africa Update with Lulu Gaboo, 12 to 1 p.m. Central African Time.
It is 8:12 Central African time, and we're coming to you live from Johannesburg in South Africa. Belamine Chatunga Mugabe, the son of former Zimbabwe's President Robert Mugabe, and a co-accused have appeared in a South African court after their arrest last week. Now, Belamine and his co-accused were arrested after a 23-year-old gardener was shot twice at Mugabe's Hyde Park residence and remain in a critical condition. A Gauteng police spokesperson, Dimakatso Nebuhulu, says the pair face attempted murder charges and another charge of defeating the ends of justice.
The firearm that was used in the commission of crime has not been found. As we already indicated last week, that the two suspects, aged 28 and 33 years old, have been arrested for attempted murder, and they will be appearing today in this same magistrate's court. It will be for attempted murder and befitting the ends of justice, since the firearm has not been found. As you know, it is a first appearance. Normally with first court appearances, you will not normally get a bail application to be finalized on the first time appearance. So we are finalizing with our docket. Our investigating officers are busy. They are still finalizing some issues. So we are hoping to bring the docket today before court, and we will see how the court proceedings unfold. We do believe, even if the firearm has not been found, but with what we have gathered so far with the investigation team, we do believe that we will bring an airtight case before the magistrate court. The victim is still in hospital. He's still getting medical attention. I will not put it as he's in police guard. He's not in police guard because he's not a suspect as per se. So, but he's still in hospital. But we do have some officials who are looking, just around the surroundings. We also still need we still need to get all the information that we can gather from him. So we are staying there so that when he gets removed, and we're also communicating with the medical doctors so that we can also be in contact with him.
Now, in terms of that story, we are going to be speaking to SABC reporter Thabiso Khatebe, who now joins us on the line. Thabiso, good afternoon, and thank you for joining us on Africa Update.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon to your listeners.
Now, take us through what has happened and what has been happening so far.
Yeah, actually, we have right now the magistrate in the Alexandra Magistrate Court has postponed the case to the 3rd of March. For further investigation. But we've heard through the prosecution that the suspects now, or rather the accused, will be facing various charges which include assault, which include theft, which include possession of a firearm. You'll recall that last week they were both charged with attempted murder. And this week they were also, police announced that they are being charged with defeating the ends of justice because of the disappearance of the firearm.
And with bearing that in mind, so they're going to appear on the 3rd of March. What is the reaction? I know this was their first appearance in court, but what was their reaction? Did you manage to see their reaction after they were remanded into custody?
No, they were so quiet when they appeared in the dock today, and it was postponed for the 3rd of March for bail application. But the two accused were quiet when they made their appearance today in the Alexander Magistrate Court, and but they had many people who have come to sort of support them, and also there was a large contingent of the media who were in court this morning to sort of record and also get the news from this particular case.
And in terms of support for the two gentlemen, did they have family there or somebody just to be with them?
Not family per se, but the people who are close to them. I spoke to one of them who outside court just before the court started, who said that they are hoping that he will be released while the police are investigating this particular case. He was even telling me that Bellarmine is not a violent person. He's just a normal, good person. So, but they are hoping that he will be released, and they are not saying that police must not investigate. They are saying that police must do their thorough investigation in this particular case of Bellarmine and Tobias Mutonze.
Well, Thabiso, thank you so much for your time. We are going to leave it there for today. That was the SABC reporter Thabiso Khatebe at the court proceedings for the son of former Zimbabwe's President Robert Mugabe. Now, joining us to discuss this further is former Interpol ambassador Andy Mashaile. Andy, good afternoon, and thank you for joining us on Africa Update.
Lulu, good afternoon to you and to your wonderful viewers and listeners.
You know, Andy, you have raised a number of concerns and questions regarding this case. Tell us exactly what they are and why.
I just heard someone saying the family say it, or some people say Bellarmine is not a violent person. Anyone who pulls the trigger is a violent person. Number one. Number two, when a gun disappears in code, for some of us we see that as concealment of that weapon, which is number two. Number three, we see that as defeating the ends of justice by contaminating the crime scene. Where is the firearm? Is a question that we need to ask. Where is the firearm? And when you explain to the ordinary people where the firearm is, in the space of policing, you make it easy, even for prosecution, to can then apply its mind. Unfortunately, some of us, we don't play emotions. I'm sure you know me by now, that I don't play emotions where crime is involved, where facts or where facts must be established. So, long story short, this should be a concern. I saw over the weekend, I saw a black car with a siren. I'm not going to mention the brand. With lights that are strobing, white lights that are strobing. It's another criminal offense. If you don't have a security company, you have white lights and they are strobing. The lights are not supposed to strobe, and you have a siren. That brings apart an element of intentional criminality and or deception that you are from the police or you are a VIP when you are not. So these are some of the serious issues that we look at when we do strategic analysis. Remember that I am a security strategist and a retired Interpol ambassador. So when I look at it from a national security point of view, this for us is a problem. Hence, you have institutions like the Mazanga Commission looking at criminality and corruption of the criminal justice cluster system. Now, when you have a gentleman like him who knowingly and intentionally is having blue lights in a white light in a car, light that stroke, and many of the things that I've discussed with you, it becomes a threat. The person becomes a threat who owns that car. The person becomes a threat who pulls a trigger and shoots someone, and that gun has disappeared. Who has been involved? Who smuggled the gun out? How did the gun go out? Why is it that the police cannot find that gun? These are some of the questions when we analyze the whole situation. Remember, some of us, when we do strategic analysis, we analyze based on the evidence that there is no gun, that someone has been killed, that a car has been found, that someone has been arrested, that someone has to appear in a court of law.
Now, Andy, how should investigators approach incidents, involving politically connected individuals?
Police officers who are investigating these cases that are sponsored by political connections, they must be brutal. Brutal meaning investigate and identify that politician who is connected to the suspect. And if there is political interference, let's track that suspect, that police officer, and that politician to the Mazanga Commission and say, here is proof that a politically connected person has defeated the ends of justice, knowing and intentionally, so that Justice Mazanga can then be able to say it also involves sons or relatives of politicians across the borders of South Africa. I would be very happy if any investigation can point out to political interference or political influence, and be it interference of politicians from South Africa or from Zimbabwe. I would love to see them in front of the Madlanga Commission.
And what role might a private security personnel have played before or after the shooting?
I am not sure the role that private security companies played in that in the city, but private security companies in South Africa, majority of them have played a very positive role in terms of being a force multiplier to the police, especially in that area where he comes from. And your Rivonias of the world and the Morningside and your Hawkins of the world. Private security companies play a very significant role in terms of intelligence gathering, suspects tracing and tracking, suspects apprehension and handing over to the South African policing services. So one is not sure because investigations are going on on the story of Mr. Bellarmine Mugabe. We have nothing personal against him, but when crime has been committed, we must not fold our arms and say he is the son of the former president of Zimbabwe. It doesn't work like that. When you are accused of having committed a crime, you will be treated in our face. You will be treated like a suspect, nothing more, nothing less.
And what does this incident reveal about gun control enforcement in private residences, as well as should there be stricter oversight of firearms among politically connected individuals, and what preventative measures could reduce the risk of similar incidents?
Lulu, guns don't have a problem. You can put a gun next to your head, it won't just blow your head out. Or you can put it under your pillow. It will not do anything to you. But the moment a deranged individual or person, I'm not suggesting that Bellarmine is deranged. No, I'm just saying guns in general don't have a problem. Deranged people are the ones that are a problem to guns and who create problems for guns. Guns in the correct hands, they help protect you and I. In the hands of police officers, those guns help us, except for a police officer or a police member who is going to shoot his family and shoot himself or shoot family members to claim insurance. We have heard that from the story of the former serial killer from SAPS, Colonel Ndlovu. We have had, you and I have had that matter and she's been sentenced. So long story short, guns don't have a problem. People who have guns, people who don't respect the rule of law, people who we are told like playing with guns. I'm sure if you and I were to go around that area where Bellarmine lives, we will hear a story of some person who likes shooting the gun off into the air. The police must investigate and tell us that whether it's true or not that there are guns that are going off in that space, in that area. I'm not going to be specific. I would want the police to do their job without me interfering in the execution of that duty. But I'm told, according to people in that area, that there are people who like shooting into the air with their guns. So we need to find out if, one, that gun has a license of Mr. Bellarmine Mugabe. Two, we must find that gun to determine if it was not involved in any criminality.
Well, Andy, you've given us a mouthful, and thank you so much for joining us on Africa Update. We'll leave it there for today. That's security, the former Interpol ambassador, Andy Mashaila, joining us on the line.
Zilipendwa na Abedi Jean de la Croix. Historia msikilizaji ya Valentine Day au siku ya wapendanao ilianzia katika nyakati za kale za dola la Roma. Watafiti wengi wa historia wanaamini kuwa siku hii inahusishwa na sherehe za kipagani zilizokuwa zikifanyika kila mwaka katikati ya mwezi Februari. Msikilizaji, sherehe hizo zilijulikana kama Lupercalia na zilifanyika kuadhimisha uzazi, upendo na mwanzo wa majira ya kuchipua.
Zilipendwa kila Jumamosi kuanzia saa 12 kamili majira ya Afrika ya Kati hadi saa 1 kamili majira ya Afrika ya Kati.
Africa Update with Lulu Gaboo on Channel Africa.
It is 23 after 12 Central African time, and we're coming to you live from Johannesburg in South Africa. South Africa's acting police minister, Feroz Kachalia, has revealed that the murder rate in the third quarter for the period the 1st of October to the 31st of December 2025 has decreased. He also revealed that a task team that will investigate the police officer members and members of the Ekurhuleni Metro Police Department implicated in the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry has been established. He released the crime statistics in Pretoria on Friday. Sisi Sikhalo has more.
When releasing the crime statistics, Minister Kachalia said the South African public is entitled to know how many crimes are reported to the police on a regular basis. He says they share this information so that communities, businesses, and public service departments will have a sense of what is happening in their neighborhoods in terms of crime and related risks. Kachalia says most violent crime categories, including murder, rape, robbery, and property-related crimes like theft, continue to decrease but remain at high levels.
After more than a decade of annual increases, murder, our most accurate crime stat, started decreasing on the first quarter of 2023 to 4. This trend has continued throughout this year, and this quarter showing a 8.7 decrease or 602 fewer lives lost. This means that over the last 2 years, the numbers of murders for quarter 3 period, that is the 1st of October to the 31st of December, has dropped by a significant figure, 17.6%, or 1,359 fewer murders.
Kachalia also touched on the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry, which was established by the country's President Cyril Ramaphosa to investigate criminality, political interference, and corruption in the criminal justice system. The President has called for an investigating team to be established. Kachalia says that is in place in order to deal with organized crime.
As the Madlanga Commission and parliamentary ad hoc inquiries have shown, organized criminality has infiltrated our criminal justice system. We have already established a dedicated task team to investigate evidence of criminality. That is the National Commissioner, Masemola, and I were given very clear instructions by the President, and we have made sure that that team has been set up. I want to stress that that team is conducting criminal investigations against those identified police officers, but also those metro police. And together with the mayor in Ekurhuleni, we agreed that both he and I will ensure that our departments take the necessary disciplinary action as well, through precautionary suspensions, the setting up of disciplinary panels. The National Commission and I have agreed that the panels that will be set up to deal with those disciplinary cases will be presided over by an outside expert. In other words, not somebody appointed from within the police service, to give an additional level of assurance to the public that we mean business.
Police killings were also a concern for the acting minister.
For this quarter, I'm deeply concerned with the notable increase in murder of police officials. Almost 80% of the 23 police officials who lost their lives were off duty. But there were also killings of police carrying out policing operations. This is an issue that I will engage with the SAPS management on. They are always seized with this matter to look at what else can be done to prevent these killings and to reduce them.
Meanwhile, it was revealed also that firearms remained the single largest weapon which was driving murder, robbery and organized crime in the country. The acting police minister highlighted that he and his team will be taking additional measures to address this scourge with a focus on removing illegal firearms and preventing legal firearms from falling into the wrong hands. For Channel Africa, I'm Sisi Sekhalo in Johannesburg, South Africa.
Keep Africa in your hands. Connect to our website for all your news, sports, and cultural updates. channelafrica.co.za. Africa Update with Lulu Gaboo, 12 to 1 p.m. Central African Time.
Well, today on Hashtag Africa Update, asked Bellarmine Chatunga Mugabe, the son of former Zimbabwe's President Robert Mugabe and a co-accused, appeared in a South African court after their arrest last week. We want to know, what do you make of the charges against the two? Share your thoughts and your views on all our social media platforms. That's on X, Instagram at Channel Africa 1, on Facebook at Channel Africa. You can also send us your comments and voice notes on +27 83 288 6684. Hashtag Africa Update Us. It's 12:30 and our news headlines up next.
SABC News. Headlines. The African Perspective.
Good afternoon. The United Nations says more than 200,000 people have been forced out of their homes in South Sudan by renewed fighting between the army and forces loyal to the country's first Vice President Riek Machar. The case of the son of the late former Zimbabwean President Robert Mugabe has been postponed to the 3rd of next month in the Alexandra Magistrates Court in Johannesburg for bail application. A 28-year-old Bellarmine Chatunga and co-accused Tobias Motonje appeared in court today. And a Hong Kong court has rejected the appeals of 12 pro-democracy figures against the prison sentences for subversion. Details of these and other stories at the top of the hour.
SABC News. Headlines. The African Perspective. Africa Update with Lulu Gaboo, 12 to 1 p.m. Central African Time. Sports on Channel Africa. The African Perspective.
With football news this hour, South African Football Association SAFA is stepping up plans to improve the preparations of the national teams for tournaments. With SAFA national teams qualifying for almost all continental and international tournaments last year, one of the big challenges was under preparation, which affected some teams' performances. But SAFA National Director Molefi Ntseki says they will soon be a thing of the past, emphasizing the importance of planning.
So all the national teams had to align their calendar with that of COSAFA and CAF. And within the CAF calendar, we also have the FIFA calendar. So as of now, for this year, we have a program for each of the national teams until the end of the year. And what will be a follow-up to that will be coming up with the budget for that program, because we don't want a situation where our teams will be underprepared going into a tournament. So coaches also have gone through their calendar.
Also in attendance at the workshop this past weekend was FIFA high performance specialist Faisal Chibsa, who revealed that through the FIFA Talent Development Scheme, the TDS programs, they will provide technical support to SAFA programs.
We are also interested in many ways, one being, of course, to support this initiative. If SAFA wants to continue to compete at a global level, I think for me it starts with engagements like this, where you bring all the experts together to share. And as FIFA, we can contribute a little bit. That means we can also bring in with our global benchmarking and analysis and all other programs that we can share to support, whether the youth teams or the senior teams, the women's teams. This is what we do.
On to cricket news. Sunay Luz produced a superb all-round display and Sinalo Jafta shone in her 50th international as South Africa defeated Pakistan by 37 runs in the opening ODI at Mangaung Oval in South Africa's Free State province. Luz struck an unbeaten 93 off 76 balls and claimed 2 for 31 in 6 overs, while Jafta hit her maiden ODI half-century with 57 not out off 38 balls. Their 90 runs then powered South Africa to 260 for 6 in a rain-shortened 41 overs contest. And finally, tennis news. Chilean Alejandro Tabilo beat Peruvian Ignacio Bus 6-3, 6-3 to book his place in the Rio Open final. A day after rain had disrupted play and forced the semi-finals to be shifted to Sunday, Tabilo made light work of Bus to seal a 2-set win in 71 minutes. Tabilo will now face either Thomas Martin Echeverry of Argentina or Czech Republic's Vít Kopriva in the biggest final of the 28-year-old's career. For any sports stories you'd like to share with us, please send an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us on +2711 714 4459. This is Channel Africa Sport with me, Figure Ngwati.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African perspective. Ahoy, matey!
Captain here to help, right, boys?
Set sail with us on a digital voyage like no other. Channel Africa has a treasure trove of awesomeness. That is our website and social media pages.
Tell me, why are you here?
We want you to be part of our adventure.
The winds are changing, Captain. And this time...
Imagine a world where curiosity knows no bounds, where entertainment meets enlightenment, and where every click leads to the African perspective. Visit us on our website, www.channelafrica.co.za, or follow us on Instagram or on X at Channel Africa One. Go on, like us on Facebook at Channel Africa One. So, spread the word. Tell a friend that Channel Africa's online variety is what they need on the web. Channel Africa, the African perspective. Business news on Channel Africa, the African perspective.
Good afternoon, I'm Nosipho Zuma. In your business news, the South African petrochemical firm Sasol reported a 34% drop in a half-year profit, mainly due to lower oil and chemical prices. Sasol's headline earnings per share was R9.27, which is equivalent to $0.57 in the 6 months to December 2025, from $0.88 previously. The company, which uses coal and natural gas to produce synthetic fuel and chemicals, once again skipped paying a dividend as its $3.8 billion net debt remained above the $3 billion cap in terms of its dividend policy. The South African rand gained in early trade today as investors turned their attention towards the 2026 national budget to be tabled on Wednesday. Earlier, the rand traded at 15.99 against the dollar, which is up 0.4% from its previous close. Local investors are awaiting Finance Minister Nokotongwane's budget speech for insights into the ruling coalition's fiscal priorities, strategies to address national debt and planned economic reform. In November budget review, South Africa's Treasury projected a consolidated budget deficit of 3.8% for the current fiscal year and 3.3% by 2027. The Government Employees Medical Schemes, GEMS, says its 9.8% members' contribution increase is essential to keep the fund financially stable. The scheme says it consulted unions on the increase. However, unions affiliated with the Congress of South African Trade Unions, COSATU, will today hold a media briefing in Bloemfontein to voice their anger over the increase. COSATU has described the increase as unlawful and unaffordable. GEMS' principal officer, Dr. Stan Mulwabi.
We are required by a resolution of the PSCBC to meet at least quarterly
And these meetings are set, and it is during these meetings that consultation should happen. Sometimes these meetings are cancelled, and that has happened in 2025. In this instance, from around September, we did present in several sittings, not only one, what the changes are going to be and why. However, these were rejected from the word go. And because of, we are already saying this is where we are.
Oil producer Capricorn Energy says it expects a higher production in 2026 compared with last year, supported by the expansion of its Egypt operations. In May, the Scottish company and Egyptian General Petroleum Corporation agreed to merge 8 concessions in Egypt into a single deal under a joint venture with Terion Oil and Gas. Capricorn expects a 2026 production in the range of 18,000 and 22,000 barrels of oil equivalent per day, boosted by the agreement with EGPC and growth in the region. And finally, India has amended its tax treaty with France and removed the most favored nation clause. The government said it has also modified how it taxes dividend income, replacing the existing flat 10% rate with a split structure. Under the revised framework, dividend income will now be taxed at 5% for shareholders holding at least 10% of a company's capital and at 15% for all other investors. Your financial indicators: $1 in Nigeria is trading at 1,343 and Botswana is 13 Bula 11. Kenya, the dollar is trading at 127 shilling 95, and in Zambia it's 18 kwacha 89. The BRICS countries: $1 in Brazil is trading at 5 ril 18. Russia is 76 rubles 67. India is 90 rupees 72. China is 6 yuan 91, and in South Africa $1 is trading at 16 rand 02. $1 is trading at 74 pence to the British pound and 85 to the euro. Looking at commodities, gold is trading at $5,128 and platinum at $2,149 per ounce, while the price of Brent crude oil is at $71.02 a barrel. Now, for any stories you would like to share with us, please send an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us on +27 11 714 4459. For Channel Africa Business, I'm Nosipho Soma.
Business News on Channel Africa. The African perspective.
Let's just do it.
Your life just got easier. Get the Channel Africa app and take us wherever you go. Catch the latest news, enjoy your favorite shows, stream the music you love, and stay connected to the continent. All in one spot, right in your pocket. Simple, quick, and always with you. The Channel Africa app. Download it now on iOS and Android. Africa Update with Lulu Gaboo on Channel Africa.
It is 12:41 Central African time, and we're coming to you live from Johannesburg in South Africa. Today on #Africa Updates Ask, we've been asking what your thoughts or what you make of the charges against Bellarmine Chatunga Mugabe and his alleged accomplice with the son of the former Zimbabwean President Robert Mugabe and his co-accused in a South African court after their arrest last week. What are your thoughts and your views on all the charges that they are facing? Let us know on all our social media platforms. That's on X, Instagram, at Channel Africa 1, on Facebook, at Channel Africa. You can also send us your comments and voice notes on +2783 288 6684 #Africa Update Ask. And we do have a response, a comment from Soza da GVK rather, and he says, like father, like son, but that kind of behavior is never going to develop as a future leader. And then also David Similwadi says they must be sent back home to Zimbabwe. They must be fined. These are just some of the comments that are coming through on all our social media platforms. If you want to hear your comments, also just respond to our questions on #Africa Update Us.
Africa Update on Channel Africa.
Now, a two-day joint meeting of the Ministers of Health and other ministers responsible for HIV and AIDS within the Southern African Development Community SADC is beginning today in Johannesburg, South Africa. The meeting is set to discuss a number of priority health issues, review progress made on regional health commitments, and strengthen collaboration in addressing shared public health challenges. And to speak to us further on this meeting, we are joined on the line by the Director for Africa and Middle East Relations at South Africa's National Department of Health, Dr. Moeketsi Modisenyane. Dr. Modisenyane, good afternoon, and thank you for joining us on Africa Update.
Good afternoon, and to the listeners. Thank you.
Now, give us an overview of the meeting. Who is in attendance, and what will be the discussions on the table?
Okay. Well, thank you very much. The meeting, this is the ordinary meeting of the SADC health ministers, and the ministers responsible for HIV and AIDS. You'll recall that this meeting was supposed to be held in Madagascar last year. However, because of the challenges that the Madagascar government had, South Africa was requested to be the interim chair of this meeting, with effect from December. So we are the interim chair until August 2026, and then from August 2026, then will be the chair of SADC. But for the meeting of the SADC health ministers, they are going to discuss a number of regional initiatives and priorities as they relate to the issues around the impact of the severe flooding and its associated risk, public health risk, cholera, polio, and you might also know that the SADC region has an epidemic of TB, malaria, and HIV. But also we are going to use this particular meeting to launch an accountability scorecard of the sexual and reproductive health and rights. And then the last one, which is very important for this particular meeting, is that there's been a decline in terms of donor finances in the health sector across the 16 SADC member states. And then the ministers of health are going to have discussions in terms of how do we respond to a decline in official development assistance, and also in terms of domestic health finances.
And, what are the shared health challenges that the region, you've mentioned that there's TB, HIV, AIDS, and others, but that will be discussed in this meeting in detail in terms of, the plan of action, looking back to what was agreed upon in the last meeting and what goals have been achieved. Is this going to be taking place? And how do you then work around where there are issues, for instance, like the donor issue, where now there is less and less to go around?
In fact, what's going to happen here is that there's quite a number of challenges in the SADC region. One of the things that you know is that there's also issues of cross-border movements of people and goods and services. And because of that, we are going to see, and also the issues of disease outbreaks, such as cholera and other waterborne diseases and so forth. And it's in the best interest of the SADC countries to work together in terms of how they're going to address the issues of disease outbreaks. The second issue that is going to have a huge impact in terms of the challenge is the issues of the severe flooding and rainfall that are happening in SADC. So what's going to happen is that because of the severe rainfall, it will have its associated risk in terms of issues such as cholera and also malaria. In fact, if you look at some of the countries such as Mozambique and DRC, we have seen a number of malaria cases increasing because of the flooding that's also happening there. And then the other issue that is also very important is the issue of decline in terms of financing. A number of countries in the SADC region, such as the Kingdom of Lesotho, Malawi, and so forth, they have actually lost a lot of funding from development partners. And because of that, it's going to disrupt the provision of some of the health services, especially in the area of TB, malaria, HIV, but also in the area of maternal and infant health. And because of that, it's in the interest of the SADC ministers to work together to say how do we then mount a response. Hence, this meeting was held.
Another issue that the African continent has been discussing is developing its own vaccines. Would there be any countries reporting on this in the meeting?
Yeah. You also recall that as part of the African Union and Africa CDC agenda in terms of regional and local manufacturing agenda, there's been a number of initiatives to ensure that Africa develop its own vaccines and other medicines in the continent. You might also recall that during our G20 presidency, the issues of local manufacturing and research and development was high on our agenda. To this effect, within the SADC region, there's been quite a number of initiatives that have been happening. You might know about the mRNA initiative that we are working with WHO, which one of our agency called Afrigen BioVac and also South African Medical Research Council are collaborating in terms of ensuring that we develop our own vaccines to deal with the future outbreaks. But also, you might also know that BioVac has recently received a technology transfer to develop what you call an oral vaccine, and this is going to be quite important not only for South Africa, but for the SADC region, but also for the continent, so that the continent is able to produce its own oral vaccines and it can be procured from one of the African countries.
What is the mood like on the ground? Because these are very intense discussions that are going to be taking some time with a back and forth. What is the mood like? And are countries ready to buckle down and work?
Indeed, if you look at the number of countries that are going to participate in this meeting, given that we were given almost like 2 months to prepare for this meeting, but the turnout in terms of the number of countries that are coming for this meeting, it looks very encouraging. In fact, most of the countries, except those countries that have like DRC and Comoros, most of the countries are actually being led by their ministers or their deputy ministers. So the participation here is quite good during the senior officials meeting. But secondly, we also have a number of international partners such as UNICEF, WHO, UNFPA, who are there supporting South Africa, not only supporting South Africa, but supporting the SADC ministers in terms of moving the needle and the agenda forward in terms of addressing some of the pertinent issues that are happening both in the SADC region but also continentally. I can confirm with you that the mood on the ground, even from the member states in terms of participation, is quite good.
Dr. Modisanyana, thank you so much for joining us on Africa Update. We are going to leave it there for today. That was the Director for Africa and Middle East Relations at South Africa's National Department of Health, Dr. Moiketsi Modisanya, speaking to us on the line.
Zilipendwa na Abedi Jean de la Croix.
Historia msikilizaji ya Valentine Day au siku ya wapendanao ilianzia katika nyakati za kale za dola la Roma. Watafiti wengi wa historia wanaamini kuwa siku hii inahusishwa na sherehe za kipagani zilizokuwa zikifanyika kila mwaka katikati ya mwezi Februari. Msikilizaji, sherehe hizo zilijulikana kama Lupercalia na zilifanyika kuadhimisha uzazi, upendo na mwanzo wa majira ya kuchipua.
Zilipendwa kila Jumamosi kuanzia saa 12 kamili majira ya Afrika ya Kati hadi saa 1 kamili majira ya Afrika ya Kati.
Africa Update with Lulu Gaboo on Channel Africa.
Debohile Kuleni of the Upside team is here. Happy Monday. How are you today?
Happy Monday, Lulu. I'm fantastic. How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you.
Here's what's coming up on the Upside this afternoon. We get into a conversation where we are promoting mental and menstrual wellness on campuses. And then we unpack, there were recent claims from the Joyous Celebration group that there's been abuse of finances and so on and so forth. We're going to be unpacking that. A statement that was released by Dr. Lindelani Mkhize. We'll be unpacking what that all means for the group. Is there any truth to it? So that's all coming up. And then, of course, we've got our property segment as we do every single Monday. That's all coming up on the Upside.
That's the Upside coming up at the top of the hour with Debohole Kuleni and Matseko Musito. We continue on Africa Update.
Be inspired. Stay informed. Channel Africa, the beauty of life. Now available anytime, anywhere with our new app. Africa Update with Lulu Gaboo on Channel Africa.
It is 12:54 Central African time, and we're coming to you live from Johannesburg in South Africa. The United Nations Human Rights Council has started its 61st regular session in Geneva with statements from at the Palais des Nations in Geneva. More than 100 states are expected to address the council under the presidency of Ambassador Sidarto Reza Suryodipuro of Indonesia. Now, the Secretary General of the United Nations, Antonio Guterres, highlighted the importance of the council.
Human rights are under a full-scale attack around the world. The rule of law is being outmuscled by the rule of force. And this assault is not coming from the shadows or by surprise. It is happening in plain sight and often led by those who hold the greatest power. Around the world, human rights are being pushed back deliberately, strategically, and sometimes proudly. The consequences are devastating, as witnessed in the Council. And as written in the lives of people who suffer twice, first from violence, oppression or exclusion, and then again from the world's indifference. When human rights fall, everything else trembles. Peace, development, social cohesion, trust, solidarity. This is precisely why the tools of the Human Rights Council, such as the special rapporteurs, special procedures, investigative mechanisms and universal periodic review are essential. And it is precisely why, as we mark the Council's 20th anniversary, we also recognise it's more important than ever to translate geopolitical engagement into a path towards strengthening human rights everywhere.
That was the Secretary General of the United Nations, Antonio Guterres.
Africa Update on Channel Africa.
South Africa's President Cyril Ramaphosa, in his capacity as chairperson of the Presidential Climate Commission, says the country's ambitious climate targets must now be matched by decisive implementation as South Africa stands at a pivotal moment in its energy transition. Ramaphosa was addressing the inaugural meeting of the Commission virtually, where he welcomed newly appointed commissioners and outlined priorities for the incoming Commission's 5-year term and provided strategic guidance for its work. Now, Channel Africa's reporter Michael Mbewe filed this.
The Commission was established in 2020 as a multi-stakeholder advisory body to support a coordinated and inclusive national response to climate change. Its mandate includes advising on climate response measures and just transition pathways that protect livelihoods, promote economic opportunity, and strengthen social outcomes. This session marked the formal start of the new Commission cycle and will, among other objectives, outline expectations, national priorities, and the role of the Commission in advancing South Africa's just transition to a low-emission, climate-resilient economy and society. In his address, Ramaphosa stressed that South Africa aims to significantly reduce greenhouse gas emissions and strengthen adaptation to climate change.
South Africa has set ambitious goals for climate action, aiming to reduce greenhouse gas emissions and adapt to the impacts of climate change. As the Commission, our work is to ensure a just transition to a low-carbon economy while helping South Africa to become more resilient, strengthening our global competitiveness, and reducing poverty, inequality, and unemployment at the same time.
He also called for the landmark Just Energy Transition Partnership, the first of its kind globally, to move beyond commitments, urging that international pledges be translated into visible progress on the ground.
Now, as we gather here, we are gathering at a pivotal moment in South Africa's energy transition. Energy security and climate action must be mutually reinforcing. A stable, diversified electricity system is the foundation of growth, investment, and job creation, especially as we propel our country towards green industrialization. The Just Energy Transition Partnership that we crafted with a number of international players, which, by the way, was the first in the world, unprecedented, must now move from commitment to we must also translate the pledges that have been made into visible progress on the ground.
The Commission's Deputy Chairperson, Deepak Patel, said
That's South Africa's President Cyril Ramaphosa in his capacity as chairperson of the Presidential Climate Commission, ending that report by Channel Africa's Michael Mbewe. And that's how we wrap Africa Update today. It's been a good Monday. Continue with us on all our social media platforms, and let's do this again tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Get Channel Africa on DSTV Audio Bouquet. Channel 802.